This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies.
Hi.
Oh, hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right, we're your hosts.
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caitlin. Whoops. I
And
forgot to say my name.
Today, we're going to be talking about
Splice.
Splice.
2009. Yeah, little stinger.
Little
Little scorpion.
Very xenomorph.
Yeah.
Very alien-like.
It definitely.
I think there was a lot of inspiration there. And trigger warning, because this film is super fucked up. Lots of
Super
stuff
fucked.
going on here that
Some essay.
kind of crosses some moral and ethical and all kinds of lines.
Yes.
Even
Because definitely it was like a parent-child situation.
true that, but also even just the creation of the being of itself, Drin itself, and like the ethics in that, and like
Going
how
against
far
God.
how far do we go in like manipulating what should be and shouldn't, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And do we really, I don't know, that's a very what is it called when you get into D's, like people's theoretical like takes on life, like that just goes to people's like, where do you even draw the line yourself? Like,
Yeah.
do you even think like, no, that would be okay, yeah, sure, we can try to create something or not, you know? Anyways, I digress.
Magical.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out my shirt. Since we're on video, I heart ugly boys. That's Drin after Drin turns male.
Oh yeah, very much so. Where'd you get that shirt?
I got it from Omar Apollo.
Woo woo.
Yay.
From the cute little concert you went to.
I know, it's so cute.
But yeah, Drin, the topic of the hour.
Which is nerd. Backwards.
Yeah, kind of smart, kind of lazy.
Kind of lazy.
Yeah, kind of.
I remember
super easy.
going like, what? That's a weird name. Okay.
But yeah, this movie was made into that. Well, probably made a couple years before that, but
Came out.
released in 2009, and it is what I would call like a science fiction horror film, definitely a creature film, and it's
Part
also,
of our creature feature.
It also is a family movie. Yeah.
Yes, show this to your young children. Scar them for life.
It stars Adrian Brody, Sarah Polley, and Delphine Chagnac. She's
Chagnac.
French, so Chagnac.
Shagnac.
So, yeah, and it basically we're following the splicing and restructuring of DNA and mixing of human and animal DNA to create a being that we may or may not be able to control, and we will find out in this movie.
Yes. And it's directed by Vincenzo Natali.
Which Vincenzo Natali is
Natalie. I don't know.
Natali.
Natali feels right.
He makes other horror movies, but he's more notably as Cube, Cypher, a movie called Nothing, but
Cube, good.
Cube. You like Cube? I've
Or
never
maybe
seen Cube. The 1997 film.
I think I've seen Cube.
Okay. Yeah.
I might be confusing
Sounds like an interesting
it
concept.
with something else. I think maybe Mike told me to watch Cube.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember if I actually watched it or not.
But yeah, we've got this, and it was kind of, I remember watching it when it came out in theaters, and I remember leaving the theater like, what the fuck did I just watch?
That's how I felt after Hereditary. But
Yeah.
in a good way. This one,
No, this was in like a mindfuck way.
yeah, this one was like, what a, oh. This was my first time watching this film. So
Yeah.
I had never seen it before.
I forgot
I'd
a lot of
seen
the
clips.
things that had happened in this film.
Yeah.
I guess I blocked them out.
Gotta
say.
preserve your mind.
But it was a wild ride, to say the least. I guess we can just jump right in into the abyss. We start with this really cool opening. I did like how like before the movie's even starting, like the like pre-credits, like what do they call, like the production studios and stuff is already coming in, like I don't know what those are called, like lab samples type of situation.
Yeah.
Showing like different what do you even call it? Like the embryos and stuff or whatever, like different lab samples of what they're trying to create. And then we
like
get the
under a microscope.
Yeah, and then we get the credits and stuff through that as well.
Yeah, and we're like starting with x-rays of different animals and stuff, and then we're like underwater of sorts. I guess we're kind of like in an embryonic like sac.
Yeah.
We've got some pretty haunting music that's happening too. And we're getting the cast's name and everyone's names engraved in like body parts. Kind of, or not engraved. It's almost like it's raised.
Yeah.
In the body part. It was super
like a
cool.
Scar.
I liked the intro. It was pretty long.
Yeah, it took a minute, and then we get a title, and then we get our heartbeat.
Yes, and goes to stark white, which we have again at the end as well. And we have a baby being born. Or something being born.
Yeah, something. Yeah, not necessarily a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a baby, and then I saw it, and I was like,
oh, not a child.
That's like a slug.
Yeah, the little baby.
It was kind of cute, though.
I thought they were cute.
I was like, would I have a stuffed animal of that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little stuffy. And then we have a little clear moment, and we have to restart, get some life back into our little guy whose name's Fred.
Fred, and then we also have Ginger.
Gingeroni. They're so cute. They're like little like naked mole rats, but like engorged.
They kind of look like pale poop too.
Oh, okay, I see that. Yeah, just like little balls, just
like they've
around.
got little lines.
That reminds you of your poop.
Yeah.
Maybe. You
well,
should go
back when I had solid
out.
poop. No longer do I have solid poop.
Thank you to Rise.
Thank you, Rise. This is sponsored
by Rise Coffee. And so we are meeting with the execs now, which is our what's her name?
I don't know.
The French lady. I forget. I get her name later, but
and Fred and Ginger imprinted on one another.
Oh yeah,
and that was really cool looking. They had like these little, almost flowery, like almost like a underwater, like seaweed kind of looking. The way it moved, it looked like it was underwater. And it like they came out and they're like
almost like little tongues, weird tongues.
And they made out right in front of us.
They did. And that will come into play later. We are meeting with the execs now, and we have our main people, Elsa and Clive, and they are basically trying to say how we've come so far in what we've done, that the next obvious step is that we want to do human like DNA testing and splicing with what we've been doing. And the execs, which is just basically this one lady, the French lady, she's like, you know what, y'all have done really good work, but we're actually just going to focus on now producing medicines and medications from what you have so far. And we're shutting down like the splicing part of our experiments, which is basically all they're there for, because they're chemists. Yeah, that's what they do. They don't want to make pharmaceutical drugs. And so this really,
they're there to create new beings.
And they really thought they lucked out, because like this company was funding their experiment so far, but
now they won't,
and they are shifting the research, and they are told as well that they can't continue to do any splicing, and especially with human DNA, because of the moral
implications and stuff. Like,
which I can see, like any company would be like, no, we won't do that, because like
there's definitely going to be someone,
PR nightmare.
Yeah, there's going to be some people who
are against it.
Which, I mean, I personally think it would be pretty cool. But
yeah,
I know, like, there's
like right now, I think it's still illegal to like clone stuff, or in particular or whatnot. But I don't know how much law like even governs all of that, to be honest, because I don't know. That's crazy. Somewhere in the lab, they're cloning people.
It's like us.
They're
all underground.
Yeah.
Our clones.
Just waiting to come out.
Burped.
And so they are, basically Elsa and Clive, she's more upset basically, but she's just like, and she convinced them super easily. Like, she's like, fuck whatever they said. We're just going to do whatever the fuck we want anyways.
Yeah, we're going to do it on our own.
Yeah.
And they finally, so it goes into a little sequence of them trying and continuously failing. And it happens quite a few times before they successfully get the M3 to work. The M3, like, genome or whatever to work after their many fails. And then we find out later that the reason it worked was because she used her own DNA in it, right? Because he asks her, like, what did you do different? And she's like, I don't know. And then later he's
like, I know what you did. But because of his interaction with Drin, I think kind of, I don't know. There was never even any confirmation for him. I think he just had the hunch of what it was, and then she confirmed for him.
I don't know. He like looked at Dren's neck and then was like, Elsa. And I was like, what?
I guess they got the same neck.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. And so they end up going through that sequence. Then they finally get it to work. And then once they start to get the M whatever gene code whatever to work, she then goes into the like little engineering room they have because she needs to know if it fucking worked, because she's like, we need to make it go to incubation or whatever, or make an embryo of it, because we're scientists, and like what's the point if like we'll never know if we just left it in basically the lab setting, just a hypothesis. And so she does, and
then they say they'll destroy it afterwards, before it can be like come to fruition and like be born.
But that doesn't happen. Anyways, we get it, and it comes into whatever you call it, embryo stasis, and then I think at this point Clive is like having to go check on Fred because something's going on with Fred, or no, he's just getting his vitals checked, and that's whenever his brother asks him like, hey, like what are y'all doing? Like I can't help but notice that you and Elsa like have been elsewhere. And Clive's being really like, coy with him, and then he switches the whatchamacallit, this is the topic, and then we cut to Elsa and Clive talking about apartments, and she like, it kind of shows their relationship dynamic a little bit more, like for just a minute, and just how kind of she does seem like she more or less like makes decisions and kind of like
doesn't consult,
and doesn't care about what he like how he does what he wants, because she's basically like saying she wants to move into a smaller place, right? And he's like, oh, it doesn't look big enough for like kids, if we want kids,
well, she wants to move, it's actually a bigger place. She was like, it's actually twice the size of our current apartment. He was like, but it doesn't look, but he's just saying it doesn't look big enough. And he was not really on board with the idea of moving. He's like, we just moved in. She's like, we've been here for 6 years, and or something like that. And he's like, oh, I guess. And then this also, well, they kissed after they got the M3 gene to take. But at first, I wasn't certain that they were together.
Oh, okay.
And then I thought maybe they just like
we're lab partners or something.
With a little bit of flirty tendencies. But I wasn't certain that they were actually a like partnership. And then they made out after that. And you're like, there it is. And then now they live together. And I was like, oh, okay. They're together.
But then we get an alert, red alert, because the Betty machine, I think that's what they called it, at work is going crazy because the
embryo has grown huge.
Yeah, at a rapid pace. And he was just like, I thought you checked it out this morning. And she was like, I did. It was not this big this morning.
Yeah.
And then she's like, we have to take it out. And she literally just sticks her arm in there. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah. You have no idea what's in there.
And it's funny because like they're supposed to be really smart, like scientists and whatever, and like follow precautions, I guess.
Yeah.
They're just like, fuck it. They're just like, I don't know. Let's just dive right in. But it's a horror
gotta
movie.
save her
So nobody ever.
little baby.
Logic goes out the door. Yeah. And so she goes in there, sticks her arm, but then it starts like pulling her in. And then she's like, she doesn't say it's biting her, but she's like,
it stings her.
It's stinging her. Yeah, that's right.
She's like, it's stinging.
And then she ends up pulling her arm out, but at the same time, the whole thing, like basically, no, because Clive comes and starts cutting it out. And cuts through the big old
embryonic
sac. And then the thing falls out, and then she's able to let go, but then she goes into like anaphylactic shock, and then he gets an EpiPen and stabs her. She's kind of coming to. It's super chaotic, and this thing is like
snapped in two,
and it's like a tadpole looking thing, with like a stinger at the end. And then it the way he put that little plastic thing over it, and immediately you could tell that the stinger was like burning through the plastic, like whatever venomous juices it is spitting out through the tail.
I'm surprised she didn't die because, like, you know how like baby snakes
have
their
so
venom
much venom
is,
toxic.
and they don't know how to control it, and so like they just unleash a whole shit ton of venom into you, and so I'm surprised that she didn't die in this moment.
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of need her for the rest of the story.
Yeah,
so they couldn't kill her. But, like, with how quickly, spoiler alert, Clive goes down in the end, I was, like, thinking back to this, I'm like, how the fuck did she not die?
Yeah.
But maybe, I mean, this is a completely unknown creature, so maybe it does act differently, and maybe it was a weaker form.
Or maybe it just wasn't even, who knows? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't even the baby itself. Maybe it was just, like, a defense mechanism of the actual, like, cocoon that it's in, and not even itself thinking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're on the floor. They're like, what do we do? And Clive wants to kill it, but she's like, no.
Yeah,
like,
and she asked, like, what was that? And he was like, a mistake.
Yeah. And then I think we cut to them doing something else, but then they're like, we got to go back and we've got to kill it and make sure that it's dead. And she's like, reluctantly agrees. But when they get back to the lab, it's
seemingly already dead.
Yeah. And she's like, aw. And then,
but I noticed it immediately whenever she like touched the box. I was like, that gooey shit's all over the outside of the box. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And she just goes,
get there?
Huh.
Yeah.
And I was like, bitch. No.
And then they open it, and then they're just like, okay, I guess it's not moving, so that equals no life. And then he goes out to grab, I guess, I don't know, a trash bag or I don't know, something. And then that's whenever she starts to hear the noises, and then we start to see this little
cute little baby creature,
like a mix between a squirrel, kangaroo,
raptor,
human raptor.
Yeah, because it kind of walks raptor-esque.
Yeah, but its legs were like kangaroo-like, and its body kind of kangaroo-like, but its face was like squirrel human-like.
Yeah.
It
was really, I liked it.
Yeah, creature
like,
design was really cool.
Yeah, it was. I was like, this is cute. And then they were like, he's like, get out of there, I'm going to gas it. And I was like, no, don't gas it, it's too cute.
And then she takes off her mask so that way he won't gas the room. And so Clive walks in, gets her out of there, and then that's whenever she convinces him to gas it enough to just knock it out so that way they can study it as opposed to just killing it immediately.
Yeah. And after a little bit of digging around, they discover that this thing is aging fast, like days within a matter of minutes. And they're like, we can observe its full life cycle. And really, cool. I mean, in in scientific theory and shit, like you would need to be able to view the whole life cycle in order to make like accurate
And
claims
you can't do
and
that
stuff.
with a lot of things.
Yeah, with humans, and like you can with most animals, but
not like the more like, I guess, intelligent species, because they live longer.
yeah,
Right. So
it would take quite a bit. This thing seems to be aging rather quickly. And so they are doing that, and then I thought they gassed her and killed her at first, and so then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she didn't die. How good. And then they're trying to feed her and stuff to like get her some little sustenance, and
Yeah.
she's not liking the like kale
food,
mixture that they have. It's like chloroform and
kale greens. They're keeping her on a vegetarian diet, essentially.
yeah. And then the whole time Elsa's been eating these little candies like Tic Tac things, and she accidentally spills them, and Dren goes over and is like,
It looks good.
yummy.
Yeah, she
And
likes
so
them.
they're like, she craves a high sucrose diet.
Which, like, duh, any kid does.
Yeah,
And then
I still do.
right before this too, we had a little moment when Clive was in the lab with his brother looking over Ginger, and we do get a mention that her estrogen levels are low. And then this is also a moment where Clive hears screaming from the vents from Dren, and then all that food stuff was happening. So it's already kind of showing that it's a problem, one, that having Dren there in the building is an issue because she can't keep quiet. So, and she's getting older and bigger. And then also that low estrogen hint with Ginger is kind of a clue to something that happens later in the film.
Yeah,
Which kind of alludes to
I
also,
definitely missed that.
Oh, it was like, and I'm telling you, it was like the 5 seconds, like
He was
5
just like,
seconds.
and she's got low estrogen, blah, blah, blah.
Literally. And the brother works it into like, in the sandwiched in between conversation. And so I think that's why, as a viewer, we kind of miss it. And I think it's also supposed to show to like Clive and them as well, like how they miss it and how
Yeah.
it all like leads to that. And so then, So finally getting Dren to eat the food, and then they cut to now it's time to give that presentation with Ginger and Fred, and they're getting a lot of pressure put on them because they have to hit a home run with it, or they'll get fired, they'll lose their funding, they'll really end up it'll be bad for them if it doesn't go well. And so then I think we cut to Elsa training Dren, and this is when we get her name and stuff, when they're playing with the Scrabble pieces and stuff.
Yeah, because she discovers that she can associate things with other things. And she is like, okay, so this is clearly an intelligent creature who is able to function brain-wise, at least similarly to how we do. And that is how she names her Dren.
Because she's like got the pictures of like the bear and other stuff, and she's making her, what's that called, like matching
Yeah, like fit the square inside the
circle.
circle. Yeah.
We would fail fit the square inside the circle.
Yeah.
Isn't it fit the square inside the square?
Yeah, it would be. But
But y'all get it. And so then it's they move. Then I think at this point,
Gavin comes in,
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
Gavin comes in, and he doesn't know what's happening. He's kind of eavesdropping, and Elsa and Clive are having an argument, and then that's whenever Gavin walks in and Dren attacks him because she's just being, protective and territorial.
yeah, she's like, who the fuck is this? And she's like crawling up on the ceiling, and then all of a sudden you see her little tail with the stinger drop down, and it was
Yeah.
like, uh-oh.
Gavin's about to die.
Yep. But thankfully he doesn't, but he does get pushed into the room.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then
Storms
Clive
off
is
angrily.
Yeah, Clive is like, scientists push boundaries, at least the important ones do. Like,
Yeah.
we are doing something important here. That's what we're doing. And kind of not listening to anyone else's point of view.
Yeah. And then this is what prompts them to want to move her out of the lab, because they, one, don't know if he's going to tell anybody, and two, just know that she can no longer be there. And they move her like downstairs, essentially, to like a basement type of situation.
Yeah,
And
like an unused wing of this laboratory
facility. And then that's whenever, but immediately, like, she starts to go into like a sick mode. And Elsa's like really worried about her. They don't know what's happening with her, and she's going into feverish mode, and she can't breathe. And then at this point, Clive is like thinking like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and this is my way out. And he essentially wants to drown her, in the water, and then in the middle of drowning her, and this is kind of a precursor, or something happened earlier where right, didn't something happen earlier where something was in the water and then it had kills? Am I
I'm not sure. All I know
was
is
that with Ginger, with Fred?
I think so.
Something kind of foreshadowed to this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so he puts her under the water and is like trying to kill her. But then we find that she can breathe underwater, and he says those weren't tumors. She has amphibious lungs.
Yeah.
And Elsa was like, "How did you know?" And so he must have gained it from that.
Yeah, I
that
know
you were
something.
talking about.
I know something happened where it was really small. Same thing with one of the things they were doing, and I think it was the mention of how they had like different types of things where amphibious lungs was something that they could do. But yeah, and she like asked him again, like, how do you know? And he's like kind of brushes it off because he really didn't, but I guess he just is like, you know what, whoops, I guess I'll have to act like I did know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he has to go talk to his brother because he has to, you know, make sure that his brother's going to keep quiet about all of this. And his brother really like lays it on heavy for him. Just basically like, you didn't think about anybody else when you did this. And it was really selfish. And basically you're only doing this because she told you to. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it.
And then we flash back to Elsa giving Jenny the doll, which is like a little Barbie doll. And we can tell that she's grown a lot. Yeah. Like at this point, she looks almost like how she looks for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Like in a preteen era.
Yeah, definitely. And she is like putting her to bed, but then she goes outside and it's just like there's just a thin curtain separating her and Clive from Dren's bedroom. Yeah. But then they decide to fucking do it. Yeah. Right there. And I was like,
poor choice.
Yeah. Cause I was just like, oh my God, she's gonna see.
Yeah. Which she does.
Hear. And
which she does.
She definitely does. She comes up and she's watching and Clive even sees her.
Yeah. Which was super
and then
weird.
Just like kind of is like, okay, I'm going to finish. And I was like, if I noticed, like I have trouble with my cats being in the room.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm like, oh, these poor little babies don't need to see this.
They don't. But also, yeah, it was a bit weird too because he does, like you said, kind of let it linger and then he like doesn't stop it immediately. And he is able to finish, which is even weirder. And then she kind of slips away. And then it's the next day and it's the presentation day. And yeah, we have their boss bringing them and calling them out. And then they go ahead and bring Ginger and Fred out. And my God, it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah. Because they have them separated.
Immediately almost too. Yeah. After the separation comes down.
They have like a little partition in between the two of them. And the moment it drops, they're like... Yeah. Grr, die, bitch.
Yeah.
Tink, tink.
They really don't care for each other. Not at all. And it's because, and well, you know how earlier Ginger had their little flowers come out. Well, now they both have little stingers come out.
Yeah,
so,
out of their little face.
Which look reminiscent to Dren's stinger as well.
Definitely.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And I was so confused. I was like, holy shit, I thought they were bonded. What is going on? And then they're like fighting so vigorously, basically, that they knock the whole container over.
Literally.
And it busts, filling the front row with glass and like blood and guts.
So sick.
Because they have like absolutely obliterated one another. And then
They're like mush.
they find out later that Ginger had turned into a male. And so basically it became a territorial issue at that point, kind of like a beta fish. And because beta fishes don't do well with other males.
Well, any male, like how there's only one lion per pride, like one male king, whatever. It's a very territorial issue, but unfortunately for them, this just happened to happen on the day where they had to present them to everybody. Yeah.
And it definitely did not bode well for them. So
I love
the head honchos are being a little like,
oh yeah,
absolutely not. No more of this. Like, this is not good. And little do they know they've already got something even bigger already cooking.
Yeah. And so they are.
You were about to say, I love how they. Sorry.
No love whatsoever.
No love. You hate it.
Um,
Hate this movie.
no,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
it's so bad, but no, to me, it's they don't fire them immediately or anything. They're just like, well, we're just gonna keep you on the lab, and y'all just keep doing what you're doing, and you better produce that one gene that we need. Like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
We need the gene that produces CD356.
Yeah. And so then that's whenever they are talking about moving Drin and getting her out of the lab, like altogether, the facility. And Elsa brings up that she owns a farm. And he's like, what? You still own that farm? Like, obviously there's stuff they don't talk about, even though they've been together for 7 years
Least, yeah.
or more. And so then she's like, yeah, you know what? Because my mom's dead and I don't like to talk about it. And so
Yeah, she's got a lot of
mommy issues.
Yeah, because whenever she handed Jenny the doll earlier, she was like,
oh yeah,
my mom never allowed me to, like, I wasn't supposed to have this, but I did. And then later when she's putting makeup on Dren, she's like, my mom never let me wear makeup. She said it debased women.
yeah.
And I was like, damn, she's got a lot of...
It sounds... And it's so, what they're really giving to me too, maybe even with a lot of those things, is like her mom was very like hard, like strict or something, or like very like old school almost maybe. And she is like the total opposite of her mother, because she's like total 180, like by being like a scientist, like creating life, like really doing all the things that maybe her mom would be like, that's blasphemous, or that's like, you need to be in the kitchen, like whatever, in your place. And she's like, no, I'm gonna like rewrite laws and human life and whatever. And so her mom, sorry, not her mom, they end up getting her to the farm, Dren to the farm, and moving her in. But whenever they're trying to move her in, she runs off, probably because she's scared, she doesn't know what's happening, it's a new place. And when she does take off, they're looking for her, and they find her eating a rabbit.
Yeah, a little aminal, a rabbit. And
I like the little noises that she makes.
Yeah, it's like very much like chirping. Like Suki makes a lot of those same noises.
Yeah, like bird noises almost.
Yeah, and chittering and very like.
Yeah, perfect.
Like a little, what was that? More like pigeon?
Half lab created.
I am.
Wow.
Look at my finger.
Half bird. And
comes out my butt.
Drin is having a moment because I think that at this point, she's at this point, I have it in my notes, I think she's just in the like farmhouse, and she's like doing something, but then she finds the cat because it's like hiding and it makes a noise, and she's like, kitty. Yeah.
And she gets into the farmhouse. She like runs, jumps in the water and stuff.
I forgot about that. Yes, yeah.
Like, and then they kind of leave her in that room while they go look at the actual house instead of the barn. Sorry, the barn is where Dren is. But they go look at the actual house, and it's a really cute little old house. I would like to live there. But then they get up to Elsa's old room, and she is like, oh yeah, and he looks at it, and it's kind of in disarray and like disheveled, and like the bed is on the floor and stuff. And he's like, I thought you said your mom left it exactly the way it was. And she's like, yeah,
She did.
she did. And so it's kind of like, okay, Elsa's clearly got some sort of storied past.
Yeah, trauma.
Exactly.
Her mom definitely probably did not take care of her well.
No, it doesn't seem like
And
it.
instilled a lot of, what's the word? Like, PTSD
Yeah.
and stuff.
And
Yeah.
made her maternal instincts really drive up, which is why I think she's so connected to Dren in this moment. But then she really turns on Dren.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I was like, you're low key a bad mom.
Yeah, well, I
So
think
I
because
guess
she has
she just
no,
learned
she has
from
no,
her mom.
She has no, yeah, exactly, good example of what, like, a
A
good,
healthy, loving relationship should be.
well, because even in her escape from her mom's control
Azkaban.
over her, right, she still found a relationship with Clive where she was controlling him,
Yeah.
essentially. And he even mentioned it, didn't he, at one point? She was like, don't they have a little argument or something about control over control?
Yeah,
Like,
I
she
think
likes
so.
to control everything. Yeah, over the baby. She's like, you didn't want to create a baby of your own, or you didn't want to make a baby that was uncontrollable, so you created something that was controllable or something like that.
Yeah.
And so then, she finds the cat, but then we have
And I thought she was going to eat the cat.
immediately. No, she
Yeah.
loves the kitty at first.
She does.
I think she literally only kills that cat later out of spite. I don't think she really cared to be mean to the cat.
No, I don't think she did
I think
either.
I
Yeah.
think just because she had already taken her away from her and then was trying to be nice.
She was like,
fuck it. I don't want
I
it
don't
anymore."
want your presence,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
bitch.
But yeah, we have her. Then I think we have a moment where Drin doesn't want to eat anymore because I think she wants to eat meat. Like, I feel like she's trying to become more carnivoristic and they're still trying to keep her on like that veggie diet.
Yeah, of like the mush.
Oh, and I think,
basically.
doesn't Clive even make a comment about that? Because she's like, she's a vegetarian. He's like, I don't think a rabbit is fucking
counts
vegetarian.
as a vegetarian.
Option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He did say that.
Yeah.
And then she's also spelling out words, and she writes out the word tedious. And she says that she wants to go outside, like she spells outside. And then Elsa's like, no, you can't go outside. It's not safe for you. And, trying to be pretty reasonable.
Like protective.
Yeah, and protective, and saying like it's not a good place for you out there. Like, people will destroy you, basically.
Yeah.
But Dren doesn't comprehend that, and so Dren just busts out through the ceiling and goes. They end up following her onto the roof of this barn to get her, and it's very like. It felt like there was a tornado going on or something. Like
In
the
the
wind,
background?
yeah, it was
It was
very like whooshy, and they were slipping like
Yeah.
little, what are
Maybe
they
that's
called? The tiles and stuff were like
The shingles.
shingles. Yeah.
Maybe that's what happens in the winter and wherever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
I lived north somewhere.
I mean, yeah, it was cold, and
Yeah.
normally with cold weather does come wind. So, but yeah, they were walking out onto the roof to try and get her, and they're like almost to her when Dren slips and almost falls, but then she grows wings.
I love the way she like even like it's like a.
Yeah,
It's so dramatic. Yeah.
it was.
They're little wings. They're not even like big wings. It's just like little like doop. Little.
Yeah, and then some
Gross.
like weird spikes out of her back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty cool though. And then she like turns around to face them and she turns away from them and is about to fly off whenever Clive says,
We
Dren,
love you.
we love you. Yeah. And that makes her wings go back in, and then they embrace.
Cute, very wholesome.
Yep.
And then he holds her, and I think at this point too, like you see a weird look from what's her face, Elsa, and I think in this moment it's like one of the first moments too where I think she like at certain points like
Gets jealous.
or doesn't
Yeah.
like that Clive starts to form a relationship with Drin or have close moments with Drin. I think one because Elsa is like, this is my baby, my
Yeah.
precious. And then also is like, I guess now that Drin is more older and female like ish, I think she does get like that feminine, like hormonal, like, I don't know, like, bitch, back off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they go back down, and she is doing her makeup, right?
Yeah.
And Elsa's doing Dren's makeup.
Yeah. She's having a conversation with her.
Yeah. And they are talking, and then I guess it gets a little too sensitive
For
Elsa.
Yeah.
So she is like, we need more eyeliner. We'll fix this. And as she's rifling through the drawer, she finds pictures that Dren had drew of Clive. And they're little pictures of him. And she's like, these are really good.
Yeah.
And then, but Dren runs off.
Because she gets like embarrassed.
Embarrassed, yeah. Because she's like, she also asks, are there any of me in here?
Yeah.
And of course, there weren't. There were only pictures of
Daddy.
Clive. Yeah. And I was like, at this point, I started being like,
That's
oh,
weird.
no, is she going
Falling
through
in
puberty?
love with him.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, is this what's happening? And then I was like, surely not.
Surely it can't be.
Surely Temple. Surely it is not happening. But
Is he technically, but he has no DNA with her.
no.
No, just Elsa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. But that's still, yeah.
It's still weird because it was definitely like a parent-child relationship.
Yeah,
at first.
no, for sure. And then, this is when Elsa finds her with the cat. And then Elsa's like, oh, no. You cannot have that. No. And then that's whenever she takes the cat away from her. And then Dren is super sad about this. And I think we have the scene where Clive finds her and she's really sad. And he's like, oh, did Elsa like make your makeup? Like whatever. And then he's like, this is too sad. We need to make you like cheer you up.
Yeah.
So he puts on some music so they can dance together.
Yeah. And it starts out really
It's like light. It's
wholesome and cutesy. Like he's just teaching her how to dance and stuff. And then something happens and he's like staring at her. And I was like, did he just get attracted to her?
I think that's what it was. And I think also too, excuse me, I think later on, and not to like in his defense or any case, but I think she like is releasing like some type of pheromone or something that makes him like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, we don't know if she does have that ability or not. But yeah, he gets attracted to her. And then this was where I was like, she's definitely attracted to him.
Yeah.
And then
And he's like, Elsa.
Yeah, he says Elsa. And
He
I
runs
thought
off.
he said it at first because he was like, oh,
Feeling
shit, am I
bad.
about to cheat?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like thinking of his girl. But no, he goes and he goes and finds Elsa. And there's a little bit of a scuffle. He's like, it's your DNA and Dren. And he's pretty grumpy at her. And she's just like, well, yeah, it is. But what do you want me to do about it? Like, it worked. So, and that's what we were aiming for. Like, we're scientists. So
You do what you got to do.
yeah. And so she just kind of brushes him off.
She treats it like it's no big deal whatsoever at all.
Yeah.
Like she didn't just create the first human hybrid in human civilization, like from her own DNA. Like, yeah, like you're literally mother. Like your mother.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so then they have this little moment. And it's always too, like when it seems like he's like, oh, you've broken every ethical, like I am not okay with this. Like she talks him out. It's like she talks him down and it's just like, I love you. Okay. We're good now? All right, baby, shut up. Do what I say.
And then it's kind of opposite after what happens too. I feel like he really talks her down. They just have a very toxic relationship in general. Like both of them, I was like, you can't just, like, she even says you can't talk your way out of this. And I, at that moment, was thinking the same thing because he fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it transitions to a really cool shot of Dren's pimple.
I was like, what?
Pupil.
I missed that one. Her pupil is really weird too.
It's like a plus sign.
Yeah.
Her pupil, not her pimple.
It's like it doesn't know to be vertical or horizontal, so it's like
Yeah.
choosing to be both at the same time.
It was really cool. And but
She's
then
doing like gymnastics.
yeah, she's up on the beams of the barn and like flips down, and then
Elsa
comes in with a giant box, and I at first was like, is it the cat? But then I was like, it's being awfully quiet for a cat being trapped in a box. Like cats, I mean, it could be a really well-trained cat, but my cats would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, get me out of here.
Yeah.
And she tries to give Drin the cat. And when she gives her the cat, it's really unfortunate because Drin immediately like just stabs the cat in the neck.
Yep, and kills it.
And then
So
Elsa
sad.
Elsa stabs her.
Elsa's like, die, bitch.
Elsa
No.
slaps her in the face. And then that's whenever Drin is like, oh, no, you don't, bitch. And like jumps and pounces on her and gets her tail and her stinger right up on her neck.
Yep.
And Elsa's like, oh, hell nah. And so as soon as Drin is like walking out the door to get out of the barn, Elsa just whacks her in the back of the head with the shovel. And then we cut to Drin on a table, and Elsa's taking notes, and she's talking about her condition and how she's now become aggressive, and they need to basically do what you do to animals when they become aggressive, and she's going to maim her.
Yep.
And she's going to remove the stinger, which is really sad because Drin is like comes to, and then she does it while she's basically awake.
Yeah, and she's very scared. It's a very dark scene.
Yeah, the whole movie is dark.
And then
because it's like essentially her daughter at that point.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like amputating her.
Yeah, exactly.
And out of spite.
Yeah, just because she's a little mad.
She seemed like she was just like a mad mom in that moment.
Yeah,
she was just
she's like, I think
teach you
I'll
a lesson.
Cut your stinger off.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand why she needed to cut the dress off of her.
And make her all fully
naked.
Yeah. I think this whole movie is like,
I guess they needed her to be naked later.
Probably.
So.
But no, I think the movie was made with a lot of like choices that weren't necessarily like
necessary.
Tasteful.
Oh.
Yeah. Like the taste level, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, she's basically cuts her little stinger off, and at the same time, Clive is coming home, and he finds them, and they're like that, and he's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. And basically Elsa says she's going to find the protein now and put things right because they were experimenting on Fred and Ginger's body, but she was like, that's dead. Like, you're never going to synthesize the protein from that. Like, Dren is made up of almost, like 80% of what they were made of. She just has human elements. Like, we should be able to extract the protein and synthesize it from
her stinger tail that she just got.
Yeah. And so she's like, I'm going to go do it.
She's basically like, you boys suck, and I'm going to have to go, I guess, be a bad bitch and finish what y'all can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does.
Literally, she does. And at the same time that she's literally cracking, saving, defeating cancer and whatever, defeating human bad cells, Clive decides to have sex with his daughter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know how else to put it.
Because Dren, like, he comes in and Dren comes behind him with her little wings out, and then she kisses him.
And he's like, no, we shouldn't.
But then he's like, no, we shouldn't.
Yeah. Sucky, suck.
They start making out, and then they just, then they start having sex. And I was like, this is so uncomfortable. That's basically your daughter. And what the fuck?
Horror. And then her stinger
grows back.
Yeah, it grows back as they're doing it. And it's like, I guess as she's climaxing, I almost gave like praying mantis vibes, like she was about to kill him.
Yeah.
But then Elsa catches him.
Yeah, he sees the reflection of Elsa in like this window, and
And then Dren was like embarrassed as well, like, and I think she was afraid of her after what had happened with the whole maiming situation.
Yeah.
And then she just like is like cowering on the floor, and Elsa then just like storms off, mad as one would, and Clive runs after her,
and he can't get her before she leaves in the car, so then he has to drive another car back to their apartment. And he was low-key gaslighting her in this moment because he was just like, well, it's basically your fault. Why did you make her in the first place? And I was like, we cannot be shifting the blame here right now.
Yeah.
You just did an unspeakable act.
He fucked up, and he's basically just trying to be like, well, you already fucked up too, so two fuck
we're
ups.
even.
Yeah, essentially. But even though her fuck up was in a whole different way, and not related in that way at all.
In my opinion, her fuck up was way less.
Yeah, for sure. She just created something that may or may not should have been created, whereas like he literally broke their trust and vow, and then also was doing it with something that's supposed to be his daughter.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Very weird.
And so they're having the argument, and then she's at this point also telling him how like Dren ended up having 10 times like the amount of proteins that Ginger and Fred had. And they're kind of coming to the conclusion that it's time to go kill Dren because they've let this experiment go too far, and they're going to use all of her like genomes and DNA to essentially get what they need for these medicines that they're supposed to be making for the company.
Yeah, their shift to that conversation was so sudden, in my opinion, because they were like in the middle of a fight, and then she's just like, I synthesized the protein. And I was like,
yeah,
bitch, not the time.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
But I think that's so them, though. I think they're so also fucked up in the things that they do, and that like they have no kind of moral compass, as you call it, that it's real easy for them to just be like, we'll just on to the next or whatever, or compartmentalize and then do that. But I think also too, I think she at that point too was just like, well, fuck Dren anyways, and he's like, well, fuck Dren. He had been like, well, he literally fucked Dren.
Yeah, he did.
But I think they were both at this point like, let's just go kill her. Like, we're just gonna go kill her.
Yep. And so because they were like, the experiment is over and it's our responsibility to end it. The music intensifies just for a second there as they're going to go find her.
Yeah.
But when they get there, they're looking in every room. They can't find her. And then finally Elsa finds her in the water and she's dying. Or at least they think she's dying.
Yeah. Kind of almost what happened at the beginning of the film when they think that she's dead.
Yeah. And they pull her out of the water. They're putting her in a bed and stuff, and they're like all by her side. And then she just dies.
Yeah. Kind of like someone would in their old age, almost.
Yeah, she just dies in her sleep. And we have Elsa crying over her bed, and I was like, okay. And then it just flashes to them burying her, and I was like, oh, okay, she's dead.
Really dead. Yeah,
that's what happened. And then so they're burying her, and then they start burning all of her things, like evidence, I guess, of that she existed. And even though a lot of it was from Elsa's childhood,
Elsa just took this as a moment to burn everything,
to cleanse herself.
Yeah.
Of all of it. Yeah, and so they burn everything. And then she finds pictures that Dren had drawn of her. And I wonder if that was like...
After the fact? Or
and it was
she had always cared about her, or...
I think it might have been after the fact, and like that she
just felt bad, and so she drew them.
Oh, and then also at one point, before she kills the cat, Elsa says... I am inside you. Yeah. Like, I am a part of you.
To
Dren. And then that comes back later. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because as they think that all this is happening and that she's dead, they start to hear someone driving up, and it's Gavin, and they're one of their bosses.
And
the asshole who's been an asshole the whole movie. And he's like, all right, I'm not stupid. Like, I know that the
samples you gave me have human DNA content.
so where is it? Show me. And they're like, well, it's too late. It's dead. Like, everything's over. But then as they're saying that, we hear like a scream, wail, and then something like make a loud noise. And
And we had seen the earth push up. Mm-hmm. So it's like a zombie situation.
And so they're like, what the fuck? And then out of nowhere, something just comes down and takes up, I think his Barlow. His name is Barlow.
Asshole.
It takes Barlow, and then they're like, oh my God. And they go see him that he's been like
impaled
in the trees.
On a tree, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God. And then it takes Gavin, and they're looking for Gavin. But then Elsa immediately is just like, your brother's dead. We got to go. Like, we just got to go. Like, forget about him.
Yeah,
Come
so quick to move on. And I was like, girl, like, that's his brother. You can't expect him to just...
All right.
I mean, I understand this is a high stakes situation.
Yeah.
But, like, clearly
look.
he's not going to think rationally in this moment. And you got to give him a little bit of slack. Because he's like, I'm not leaving without my brother. And she's like, he's dead. There's nothing you can do. We just need to get out of here. And they're kind of fighting. And then he drops the flashlight in the water. And then I misgendered him here. I was like, but she's in there. But he is in there, as we find out Dren had become a male.
Just like Ginger earlier.
Yeah.
She transitioned. And so and not this movie being woke. And so then as he's in the water looking for the flashlight, we obviously see that he is in the water. And then Dren pops out and is looking very like, I don't know.
Definitely more masculine.
Oh, yeah. And is like coming out of the water, like all like, what's the word? Like when something comes slow out of the water. I don't know.
Yeah.
There should be a word for that. But I think y'all imagine what I'm talking about. Like, have you ever seen Beowulf? And how Angelina Jolie's character comes out of the water?
The water, yeah,
yes.
very.
Like that. Like, I don't know. And so then...
kind of sulks out.
Yeah, like...
Skulks.
Like you're presenting yourself.
Yeah.
Like look at me.
New form.
Literally, Digivolution. And so then that's whenever we have Elsa being like, what the fuck? And then it just looks at her and then starts coming after her because she takes off running the other direction.
Yeah, I was like, damn, she just leaves Clive for real.
Literally.
Like, because she gets him out of the water, but right as, like, Dren was coming out of the water, and I was like, oh, she leaves him.
Yeah, and so then she takes off, but Dren catches up to her immediately, and
yeah, she knocks herself unconscious with a tree branch.
That's right.
Basically, she like boom, runs into it and is like slightly disoriented. She's not like fully unconscious.
And then,
but Dren gets on top of her and is like attacking her, and like, meh.
And then she's like, "What do you want from me?" And then he's like, "Inside you," which is really creepy. And
at that point, I was like, "No."
Yeah. And then it goes there because he then
it does
assaults her, and it's really dark. And then that's whenever, thankfully, Clive comes out of his knocked outness and then impels Dren, which stops the essay from happening. But then Dren takes the thing from out of its chest.
Yeah.
And then
and Dren is mad.
Oh yeah, but then
very grumpy,
and it looks like he's about to attack Clive. But then Elsa attacks Dren and gets Dren on the floor with a big rock and a boulder. But
and can we talk about how huge Dren was in that moment? Like point? Standing up, because at first, like whenever she was female, she was so dainty and like stuff in comparison to Clive. Yeah. And in this moment, he stood up and
broad
he
shoulders,
was like,
broad back,
like at least 2 feet taller than Clive. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, he grew a lot.
And before Elsa can put the final blow to Dren, she, like, waits 5 seconds too long. Yeah. And you can tell that Dren does it, like, out of, like, mind fuckery. And is, like, kills Clive super fast.
Yeah.
And then she crushes his skull. Which
and
also,
do you
think that Elsa kind of waited a bit? Like...
She
kind
did
of in the
kind
back of
of
her
look
mind.
at Clive, and yeah,
And then Dren, and
I
then
could
almost
see
like
that, 'cause,
kind of bitterness, like she wanted him dead anyways. She didn't love
yeah,
him the same anymore.
yeah, he fucked her over so
Yeah.
he can go die.
Yeah.
It did kind of look like that, I think.
Uh-huh.
But we got a really cool shot. I liked the shot of them all on the ground together with like because it was snowy, so the blood really stood out against the snow from
Yeah.
Dren's skull, and then you've got Clive and Elsa just sitting there sobbing. And I thought it was a really cool shot. And then we transition back to a bright white light, just like we did in the beginning of the film. And we're with the official lady, the French lady. And then she's signing some papers, basically saying, like, we're really happy you're going to go through with this kind of thing. And I was like, she's going to do it again? Really? I was like, what the fuck?
The lady's name is Joan.
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 Okay. Joan is there with her. And I was like, there's no way she's going to do this again. And then she hands her the papers, and Joan says, you can never speak of this to anyone. Ever. And then she fucking stands up.
And she's prego.
With Dren's baby.
Yep.
Which is also her DNA.
That's
which is
wild.
super weird.
Yeah.
And
how does that even work? Isn't it going to be so inbred?
Yeah, that's what I would think. And it was, I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then Elsa just walks over to the window and is like staring out of it. And then Joan comes up behind her and is hella tall, by the way.
Yeah.
She's like towering over Elsa. And Elsa says, what's the worst that could happen? And then it fades to black as they look out the window. And that is how Splice 2009 ends.
The end.
The end. What a fun time.
Yeah. I totally forgot a lot of things happened in this movie. I do remember that it was like, oh, this is a fucked up movie. And the dude who made it, like movies that are kind of fucked up, like it just like the people who make them, like I just kind of want to like talk to them for an hour, because it's just like, why, like what, like who are you, how did this come out of your mind,
Yeah. What's wrong with
who
you?
hurt you, and maybe it would make sense, but overall I think it touches a lot of topics that are kind of more like highbrow for horror movies, like going into the, like, you know, creation of life, and like should we, almost like Jurassic Park, where they're like, I love Malcolm's line where he's like, you were too fascinated with like being able to create life that y'all didn't stop to ask like if we should, like basically like we know we can, but should we do this? And so really cool movie, really cool concept. I think there's just some like, even aging by now, like I think it's so weird how some things age okay and some things age where it's like, this is just kind of gross.
Yeah.
But that almost kind of makes it real horror in essence, because it's like, that is really terrifying to think about.
Yeah.
And real terrifying.
Again, human nature
stuff
being
does happen like that, so it's really nasty.
Yeah.
And horrible and unfortunate. But overall, for like a creature feature film, one, her aesthetic and design and look was really cool.
Yeah.
I did like how they used all the different like animals and like different types of what it would be mixed with, and how it kind of came into what it did evolve into. And Clive and Elsa the actors did a really good job of like making me like not feel bad for these characters at all, but like kind of I never really sympathized for them, but I also like was never rooting against them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of mid, like, because they were kind of doing some messed up things, but they were also, I feel like
it was a gray area.
it was a lot of gray area. Yeah, very much so.
And my response to them was a gray area. Until Clive did what he did, and then I was like, no, you
sir.
nasty motherfucker.
Yeah. And well, Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to give, if we're going into boo ratings, I'd probably give it like a oh, it's got me stumped actually. It's really got me stumped because I don't know if I am so like by it that it's good or so by it that it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what? It's in the mid, so it's a 2.5. It's a 2.5 for me.
Okay.
It's a 2.5. Yeah.
That's fair. Do you want fun facts?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to know something fun about this film.
Special effects designers Howard Berger and Greg Nicotero developed 11 different versions of Dren for the film. So there was quite a bit of Dren.
I wonder what the other ones look like.
Yeah, me too. Those really are Delphine Chaniak's eyes in her performance as adult Dren. The space between her eyes was digitally widened to create its odd effect. But they used her real eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's got wide eyes.
She does. Adrian Brody and Sarah Pauli were Vincenzo Natali's first and only choices for Clive and Elsa. Vincenzo first got the idea for the film when he saw a picture of a mouse with a human ear growing on its back.
Ew.
Yeah, I want to see that picture. Dren is made out of a combination of human and animal DNA. In particular, the animal DNA, here we go, that was shown to be used to create her was that of a salamander, kangaroo, bird, fish, horse, and a stingray.
Huh.
Sounds like, so I had this like imaginary friend that I would draw all the time when I was a kid, and I named him Bender Cook.
That's a really interesting name.
Yeah.
Bender Cook.
Bender Cook. But it was half like giraffe, half turtle, half elephant, half horse, I think. Mm-hmm. And
what was the head?
Something else. The head was it had a giraffe neck, but I think it had something else as its face. Mm-hmm. And then it had a turtle shell with elephant feet.
That's cute.
Yeah. But that was Bender Cook. But that kind of reminds me of Bender Cook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Without like, Bender Cook didn't have like a salamandery or stingray tail though. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely see that. For me, I really like, I watched this film in two parts. I watched part of it last Monday and was supposed to record, but I didn't get to finish the movie. And then I watched the rest of it today. And which is now the following Monday.
Yeah.
And at first I was sitting there thinking, I really like this movie. And I stopped right before Dren grew her wings.
Okay.
Was where I stopped first.
First cut off. Okay.
So at first I was like, this is really good. Like it has a lot of interesting themes to it. And I think it's cool that they're creating life. I think it's definitely, I don't know if it's morally like something that needs to be done, but it was interesting nonetheless to me. And so I was like, I really enjoy this. And then I watched the second half of the movie and I was like,
what the fuck?
What?
Yeah.
But overall, I still did enjoy the movie. It does deal with, like we said, some very morally gray areas, and then just some morally wrong. Like, this is
trigger warning.
Yeah.
If you have any type of sensitivity to that topic, or just uncomfortable unpleasantness to watch, because it is really just like it's awkward.
Yeah,
it's so
it made me so uncomfortable. Yeah. I was like hiding.
It's like watching
a
sex scene with your parents.
Yes.
Awkward, like just weird.
Yeah, I was like hiding in my notes. I was like, oh, I can't watch this right now. And so that part,
especially because it's not a short scene.
No,
and
it's really long. They roll around a lot.
Yeah, it's not a short scene, and he's acknowledging how wrong it is in the moment. Like it's not even just like us being like, "Oh, that's wrong." Like he is acknowledging how like we, as an audience, like and as him as the person, we know this is not supposed to be happening.
Yeah, but then he just rolls
and then
with
does it. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and he's like feeling up on her and stuff. And I was like, this is like a preteen at best too. So this is weird. I know she's aged a lot, but like, no.
You know what would have been a really even like kind of twistier turn, and it's more dark and deep and fucked up, and just would have is that if while they were doing it, she did climax and then did sting him
and killed him.
Well, no, that in that moment, Elsa then has to make a decision because he's doing the same thing that happened to Elsa earlier, going into shock, where she has to make the deciding factor of, do I EpiPen him or not?
Yeah.
And then right before he like dies, she does EpiPen him. And then we have the whole moment of like, well, and it adds to the
Bitch,
like,
you almost let me die.
Yeah. That would be like another fucked up layer to it.
Yeah, that would be. But I think overall, I still thought it was a pretty good film. I just think that it maybe could have done without some of those scenes.
We could have gotten the movie and like the story told and stuff happening in the same way without there being an essay scene between her. And also, like, maybe in some way, like, she got stabbed with something or somehow impregnated in another way if they were going to even go that route. But, like, they didn't have to do it that way.
Yeah.
And also with him and Drin scene, Clive and Drin scene. It's pretty weird.
Yeah. We didn't necessarily need that.
Or if anything, they should have brought the brother into it. And then the brother and her could have had maybe some weird moment, and it still would have been kind of ethically wrong, but it wouldn't have been as fucking weird.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
maybe could have been a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he joked at the beginning that he was making something for Gavin.
Literally.
Literally. Yeah, they could have gone that route, and it would have been a lot better.
Especially after Gavin does find out about it. Gavin could have been like that third party that's like, well, they're both in the office trying to keep their cover up. Like, he's there watching over her, and then, like, she puts a move on him.
Yeah,
and then
he's
that
like...
could have been that scene. And then they walk in on that happening. And you know what would have been better? She kills him. In that moment, sex scene, she kills Gavin, and then they're like, oh my God, she killed my brother.
Yeah.
Like, because she had sex with him, like, oh my. And then they're like, we gotta kill her.
We gotta kill her. Yeah.
Why don't we write these movies? I want to go back in time and get in there and
listen,
tell them,
Vincenzo.
Hold up. You know what would be better?
It's as if we didn't go this fucking creepy route.
Less crude and, like, would make you look like less as a creeper.
Yeah.
As if we did this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that scene alone definitely knocked me down from what I was originally thinking, and the scene at the end as well. Because I was originally thinking, like, wow, this is really good, like a 4 or something. But now I think maybe I'll give it, I don't know, I feel like wrong saying 3.
That's why I kind of also was like 2.5, because it just kind of duped for me, all that stuff.
It's very taboo.
It's taboo.
And
it can be controversial. It's okay. We're already controversial.
Oh, yeah,
Caitlin's
it's like
5.
physically making me sick. Or that could be the hard-boiled eggs I ate. Who knows? But my tummy is turning.
Not the movie produced. I think the movie kind of succeeds, actually, honestly, in what it's doing to us right now.
Yeah,
because
it makes you have a very visceral reaction,
and it's creating a, like, you want to like it, but it's so fucked up that you're like, I can't like it, because what does that speak about me if I like something like that?
Yeah,
I get what you mean.
And it's just like, ugh, it gives me like little shivers down my spine,
Heebie-jeebies.
like, ugh. Maybe I'll sit and play it safe and sit in the middle with 2.5 with you too.
I'll give us 2.5. Secretly, we want to give it a 3.4, but we also note that morally we can't, because it does touch on some things that it's just like, no, I don't stand by that.
Yeah.
But also,
they should make ethics class watch this.
Yeah, that would be most and all the papers that you would get. I can't imagine like the answers, like, because it really, everybody's mind is different. Everybody thinks differently and is triggered or not, or like thinks that things. Someone could watch this and be like, it's just a fucking movie. Like, what are you making a big deal? Like, it's just a movie. Or some people could be like, or some people have go through situations where it's like, does not make watching things like this easy, and does not make it just fiction, because it's not fiction to you. It's real life. It's just, I can't imagine. That's interesting. But yeah, so a 2.5.
2.5
Locked
is
in.
where we settled on for Splice's 2009 by Vincenzo Natali.
And if you want to form your own opinion on it, honestly, watch it. It's free.
Well, on
Oh,
HBO
wait.
Max.
My bad. Yeah, if you have that streaming service, but you honestly, yeah, if you want to watch it, form your own opinion, go for it. Definitely not something you want to show the kids.
Yes, keep this away from young children.
Yeah.
And children, like preteens.
It's
like,
just-
don't show them this either.
Yeah, it's give them
Wait till they're like 21 or up.
Give them the Friday the 13th. Honestly, give them some 80s slasher movie with like boobs in it, because that's benign to this, because at least that's just what it is. And this is more like,
It's just a body part.
yeah, this is more like, oh, we're getting into like thought-provoking.
I'm
like,
30
taboo.
and I don't even know if I was prepared to see this.
Yeah.
Like,
But
I hope you didn't watch this in 2009.
I did.
You watched it in the theater.
I did.
You did say that.
Yeah. I went with my friend and we watched it. And we
So
didn't
you
know
were
what
in
we were getting
the
into.
10th grade?
Yeah, probably. I was like a sophomore. I was like 16 when I watched this.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
I remember being like, "Oh, that was fucked up."
Yeah.
I remember we both didn't know how to like really.
Process and
Yeah.
internalize what you just watched.
Sunny, if you're listening to this, yeah, I watched it with Sunny. She listens sometimes.
Oh,
I believe.
fun.
Yeah, so that's who I watched it with. So, yeah, and I remember we both were like, "That's weird."
Yeah, very weird.
That's fucked up. But we also, I mean, we're into horror and all kinds of things where we see fucked up stuff all the time. So it's just kind of like, it just goes into that one kind of separate category of like, oh no, that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was very dark.
Yeah. But that is Splice, and I think that wraps up our creature feature month. A little bit late with this one because life happens, but we are going to be doing. What is the next month coming up? This next month was supposed to be September. I think it was. We're doing. My brain's gonna hurt this month. It was your
Found footage?
Yeah, it was found footage. It
Oh.
was your turn to find all the found footage films for the next
Okay,
like 4 weeks.
I have some planned, so
Yeah.
we'll let you know.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be for the month of October. Yeah, we're planning on doing some listener requests as well. So if you have any requests,
We don't have to do 4 found footage. We can do just like
a
2.
couple. Yeah, and then we'll work into the segue. But yeah.
And
So
I don't know if we'll be coming out with 2 episodes a week this
For Halloween,
October,
no.
like we normally do.
as much
Life
as we would
is
love to,
kind of hard.
life, well, it's hard to produce content for any content creator I know, and then like it's just like, yeah, we've got our jobs and our real life and other things going on, and we are so thankful for y'all that are always listening and staying tuned and
Yes.
support us, and will happily wait for us in a week or two to get another episode out, because y'all are important. Boobays is important to us, and
Yeah.
Is why we still continue to do it, even though like Caitlin's got like 5 jobs and I've got like 3 jobs, and then we've got like everything in between. So
Yeah. We got like people we got to deal with.
oh yeah, you got a whole relationship.
You got animals.
Yeah,
You got a new kitty.
yeah. She, the front of our house smells like cat.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
like cat pee.
Cat. Yeah, like just cat. Like just cat, which is okay, but it smells like cat.
Very
And then
different
Leonard
than
keeps
doggo.
getting out from the backyard, so he's like chasing her now. So
Oh,
it's just
no.
becoming like a.
Bad
He's
Leonard.
dumb. I just can't stand him. There's always a one dog when you have like a few of them that's just like the bad one. He's the bad dog.
Yeah.
He ruins it for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
But anyways, we are in the Rogue Media studio, which we hear you like to see us in, you guys. So we will hopefully keep being here, thankfully, since Caitlin can come on Mondays for now to record. And Caitlin, what else?
If you want to listen to us or any of the other amazing podcasts that Rogue Media produces, you can do so all in one central place, and that is...
At RogueMediaNetwork.com.
That's right. And then if you want to listen to us you can find us on any of your major podcasting platforms, but the biggest two would be
Spotify.
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to let us know your thoughts on Splice, if you saw this movie and were like, what the fuck, I give this a 0, or if you have a good argument for rating it higher, please reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
Boobays Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your boobays, not your boobabes.
Yep. And until next time, we'll be covering some found footage. I looked up some the other day because I had a feeling it was coming. And there were some that, found footage horror movies. There were some that looked
cute,
good, that I was like, oh yeah, there's a new VHS.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll need to look through these and look into their ratings, but to see which one I like the most. Because right now it's recommending lots of ones that we've already covered. We've never done Paranormal Activity.
We haven't, and there's a whole...
We could do the first Paranormal Activity. I'd be down for that. Okay.
Just the first one.
Yeah, just the first one.
The other ones are rubbish.
Yeah, they're not very good.
No.
Okay, cool. So we'll do the first Paranormal Activity next week. So if you've got thoughts on Paranormal Activity, I remember not liking the Paranormal Activity series, just like I didn't like Insidious. But Insidious, once we watched it, changed my mind. Once I could get past Darth Maul.
I did not watch the first or second one in the theater, and then the third one was coming out, and my friend at the time was super into them. And so she was like, you got to watch these two, and then we're going to go watch the third one in theater. So we watched the first one, the second one, and then when we we went to go watch the third one, 20 minutes into it, I was so sick. I went to the restroom for 20-30 minutes, and then when I got back, she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I can't watch this because it's making me so sick.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, we can just go. And so we just left.
So you watched the first one and it didn't make you that sick?
Well, at home,
I think it was probably because it was on such a big screen.
At home, I have the ability to look up a little bit, kind of watch from the corner of my eye,
pause
if you need a
second.
If I get a headache or spinny. There, it's just you're just stuck having to focus the whole time on that.
And it's literally taking up all your senses.
And we weren't even, I remember the seats were bad. We weren't back up here too. We were right there. So I'm yeah, so.
Okay. Well, if you feel uncomfortable with Paranormal Activity,
it's fine.
let me know.
We can watch it. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I just remember that experience in the theater. But the same thing happened to me with As Above, So Below. I had to leave for As Above, So Below when I went to go watch that in the theater. I couldn't handle it.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I do love that movie so much.
I had to leave early for that one too.
That's fair. That one is because they're literally running and falling down and stuff. So there's a lot of bumpy bump to that. But yeah, if you want to let us know your thoughts on Paranormal Activity or on Splice, definitely reach out to us. We love when y'all reach out to us. I've just been posting a bunch of memes on our Instagram account so far, and everyone loves them. We get lots of reactions from them.
Post memes. Yeah.
People like the memes. But yeah,
let
us know your thoughts.
If there's a meme posted on our account, it's because Caitlin posted it. If there's Instagram posts about the movie we're covering, it's probably because I posted it. That's basically how it works.
That's how it works. And I'm the one who responds to people.
Yeah. Caitlin
so if you're talking to us, it's always me.
It's always Caitlin.
Yeah.
Caitlin knows how to respond better.
Yeah.
You do.
Sometimes I don't know what to say, but
just being real. But
I just am hopefully they don't think I'm a weirdo.
No, I mean,
but all of our listeners are very kind.
Oh, I was about to say, I think all of our listeners are
weirdos.
We're all weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Yeah, literally. But until next time.
Until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bays. Do 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 do.
Boobays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.